Okay, let's just dive right in because today we are tearing down a playbook that is, well, it's just wildly impressive. We're talking about a company that hit a milestone most founders only dream about, and they did it like unbelievably fast. So the company is Sleek, an AI design tool, and this is the number. $10,000 in monthly recurring revenue. I mean, that is a serious signal from the market. This isn't just hype. We're talking about real traction with real paying customers. Whoa, wait. Let me stop you right there. Look, 10 grand is great, but the number that really matters is this one. They did it in 6 weeks. Six. That's less time than it takes most startups to agree on a new logo. Which, brings us to the big question for this whole thing. Is this a real business with actual product market fit? Or are we just looking at a perfectly timed viral tweet that's going to fizzle out in a month? Is it a lasting moat or just a leaky bucket? Exactly. And to figure that out, we've got to start with the problem they're solving. And believe me, it's a deep one. A pain point I see every single day. The no design designer. So here's the kicker, right? You have these absolutely brilliant developers, founders, indie hackers, people who can build these incredibly powerful apps. But the second it comes to making it look beautiful, intuitive, professional, it's like being a world-class chef who's only allowed to use a microwave. I mean, all the function is there, but the form, the presentation, it's just gone. I'll give them this. The market is massive. The whole app economy is just exploding. And you've got this huge, underserved group of builders who are fantastic at logic, but they totally stumble at the finish line because they can't afford or find a good designer. This isn't some tiny little problem. It's a major bottleneck for thousands of products out there. Right, a huge, painful problem. So let's get into the secret sauce. Because look, having a good problem to solve isn't enough. It always comes down to execution. And Sleek's organic growth playbook was, frankly, a thing of beauty. We're talking zero ad spend to get to $10,000 a month. Zero. They basically ran this 4-step playbook that was so simple and so effective. First, they absolutely nailed their ideal customer profile. Second, they engineered a viral launch on X. Third, they focused on adding value instead of just, running a bunch of ads. And fourth, they used this really clever, super limited free tier to filter for only the most serious customers. It's beautiful how each step just builds on the last one. So let's start with step 1, nailing that niche. What I love about this slide is the clarity. They went from that classic founder mistake of, oh, this is for everyone, to something incredibly specific. Mobile app builders who don't have design skills. That focuses everything. It drives every product and marketing decision you make. Okay, focus is good for getting from 0 to 1. I get it. But that laser focus can also turn into a cage pretty fast. Is the market for mobile app builders without design skills actually big enough for venture scale returns? I've seen a lot of great products die on the vine because they totally dominate a niche that's just too small to ever support a billion-dollar company. That's a fair point, but I'd argue that focused customer is what made step 2 even possible. Their launch on X was like a textbook example of how to do platform-native marketing. They totally understood the psychology. You need a strong hook, a really slick demo, and then that crucial call to action, common for access. This wasn't just about getting engagement. It created this cascade of social proof and this feeling of exclusivity that just drove the algorithm wild. It was a great tweet. It was. But you can't build a business on great tweets. That's a moment. It's not a go-to-market strategy. Remember when every brand was on Facebook? And then one little algorithm change wiped out their organic reach overnight? It killed companies like Zynga. Relying on one platform's algorithm is like building your house on rented land that has a history of earthquakes. And I think you just perfectly teed up their answer to that exact problem. Step 3, add value, not ads. I mean, the founder, Mattia, says it himself. They didn't just lean on one viral moment. They built a community by consistently providing value, offering to design app ideas for free, sharing cool AI stuff. It's about building an audience that actually trusts you, not just an algorithm that happens to feature you. I love the build in public thing, I really do, but it's founder-led magic. And that kind of magic is notoriously hard to bottle. It works when you're one person with a powerful personal brand. But can you hire 10 salespeople and teach them Mattia's specific brand of charm and design sense? What happens when he wants to take a vacation or step back from being the face of the company? It just doesn't scale. Which brings us to what I think is their most controversial and maybe their smartest move. Step 4. A super limited free tier. You get one free design, and that's it. This is such a brilliant way to qualify leads. It instantly filters out all the tire kickers and makes sure that only people who are really feeling the pain will even think about paying. It's also a really smart way to manage their API costs right from the start. Or It's a great way to churn through a ton of potential customers. I mean, some of the best products require you to use them multiple times to finally hit that aha moment. By putting up such a hard paywall, they could be scaring off a huge chunk of the market that would have converted if they just had a little more time. It's a filter, yeah, but it could be filtering out your future champions, and that creates a growth ceiling. All fair points. So let's put the debate aside for a second and make this really actionable. We've analyzed their playbook. Now let's just boil it down to 3 key takeaways for any builder who's watching this. If we were trying to replicate this kind of success, this is what we'd do. Okay, takeaway number 1, and this is a big one. How do they actually build and launch a whole product in just a few weeks? I mean, it seems impossible, right? But here's the secret. So this is the crucial point here. It wasn't magic. The founder literally says they weren't starting from scratch. They'd built similar tools before. That 3-week launch was actually built on years of experience and, more importantly, a ton of reusable code and components. You have to understand that speed is a function of accumulated knowledge, not just working faster. Exactly. So the first big takeaway is this. Look at your graveyard of old projects. Seriously, that side project, that failed startup, that piece of code you wrote for fun on a weekend, repurpose it. Use it as a foundation to launch your minimum viable product in weeks, not months. Just don't start from a blank slate. Let's move on to takeaway number 2. Now, this one is all about picking the right fight. It's about the kind of problem you decide to solve, which is a decision that can make or break your company before you even get started. This is like Startup 101, but so many people get it wrong. Are you selling a vitamin, something that's nice to have, or are you selling a painkiller, a must-have? Sleek saves founders thousands of dollars on designers or months of their time trying to do it themselves. It has a clear, hard ROI. People will always pay to make a severe pain go away. And that's the second takeaway. Perfectly put, build a painkiller, not a vitamin. If you can't immediately and clearly explain how your product saves a customer time or money, or makes the money, you should probably just go back to the drawing board. All right, final piece of advice, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all. This is the foundation that everything else is built on. If you get this wrong, nothing else you do is going to matter. And the founder admits they made this mistake with their previous products. A vague customer profile, it just leads to a weak product and watered-down marketing. You don't know what features to build, you don't know what words to put on your landing page, or where to even find your users online. It is the absolute fastest way to burn through all your cash. And that is our final crucial takeaway. Define your ideal customer profile before you write a single line of code. Who are they? Where do they hang out online? What is their biggest, most annoying pain point? This one decision will guide literally everything else you do. All right, advice time is over. Let's get back to the fight. We've seen the playbook, we've pulled out the lessons. Now it's time for the final verdict. Is Sleek a defensible, long-term business, a lasting moat? Or is all this early success just hiding a fundamentally leaky bucket? Look, I'm firmly in the bull camp. They are solving a deep, real pain for a market that's only getting bigger. Their execution speed is their moat in this environment, and they have a smart, capital-efficient way of getting customers that's clearly working. That focus on their customer is their superpower. And I'm the bear. This feels like a feature, not a company. The risk of this becoming a commodity is just incredibly high. I mean, what's stopping Figma or Canva from adding this tomorrow? There's no deep tech moat here. They're riding a viral wave that is absolutely going to crash, and their underlying AI costs are a ticking time bomb. Every single design they generate costs them real money in API calls and GPU time. As they scale, that bill could completely eat their margins alive. And I think that's the perfect place to leave it. We're obviously not going to agree on this one. But it does bring up a fascinating final question for everyone to think about. In this new age of AI, where technology is moving so insanely fast, is the traditional idea of a deep technological moat just dead? Is the fastest person to execute the only real winner? I guess that's something we'll all be watching very, very closely.